Well, welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm Mom.
And I'm Brandon.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yes, and welcome back, Brandon.
Welcome back to you as well. We miss you all.
Yeah, we sure did miss you guys. We took just a few days off, but we are ready to rock and roll. We will begin with the episodes of General Hospitals for the week of May 5th through the 9th. You ready?
I'm ready. Are you?
I sure am. Alrighty, so let's first give just a little bit of update of everything that has gone on in the past week. Just so you guys know, the taping of this is on May 13th. First of all, let's talk about Danny and Rocco because they finally had a storyline. Danny and Rocco actually attend a college party. They actually kind of invited themselves. Rocco drinks a lot and actually passes out during the party itself. Danny finds him passed out, and then he gets the help of Gio because Gio is also at this party, along with Emma and with Jocelyn. However, Gio's the one who kind of helps get Rocco back to the Quartermain mansion. So while they're there, Cody comes and he sees them. And so Cody, while he's checking Rocco, realizes that Rocco is not breathing correctly. And so they decide to take him to the hospital, which means, of course, they have to call the parents in regards to meaning Dante and Lulu. And they find out that he has had alcohol poisoning. And so Dante is not a happy person at all. And so while at the hospital, Dante lashes out at Gio, actually a little too much. He lashes out at Gio. Danny is actually not at the hospital, but Gio's there and he's kind of taking some. He I shouldn't say he accepts, but he takes what Dante's kind of given out at that time. Lois kind of overhears the conversation too, and Lois thinks that Dante's going a little far. And later on, Lulu even says that Dante's gone a little far. So in all of this, Dante indirectly accuses Jason later of not spending enough time with Danny. And this makes Jason think just a little bit. And so Jason eventually goes and he speaks to Danny, and they have a conversation about everything that has gone on. And then he thinks about the time that he has spent with Danny also. In the end we have Danny and Rocco who do apologize to Lulu and Dante at some point in time, and I don't want to say everyone's happy, but at least they're kind of more at peace with each other. Um, Brandon, did I leave anything out with the Dante, Danny, Rocco, Jason storyline?
Well, I will say that Lois is very quick to defend Gio on anything and everything.
Yes, she is. She is very quick to defend Gio. All right. And that's storyline number one. The next storyline that kind of goes on involves Emma and Jocelyn. Emma and Jocelyn have a nice conversation, and they talk a little bit about their teacher. And so, when we last spoke, Emma and Jocelyn were trying to both be teacher assistants to this particular teacher. I believe his name is Dalton, and so they are trying to be teacher assistants with him. For Jocelyn, she is actually on a case for the WSB. For Emma, we find out during this week that this is because Emma wants to. Emma has met this particular professor when she was in California. She's aware of everything that he does, and she believes that he is doing some work with animals that she does not believe in, or he might be doing some harm to animals. And so Emma wants to work with him just to see what is going on and to perhaps, in her mind, build a case against him. Um, and so, because the WSB wants Jocelyn to work with Dalton, Jocelyn has stolen the evidence. Not Jocelyn has stolen a thumb drive that Emma needs to turn in, and she's taken the information off of it so that Jocelyn could be awarded this teacher assistant type of position. When we left last week, it was just a matter of really just the thumb drive being switched out or tampered with, per se. Did I leave anything out of that storyline, Brandon?
I think you covered it for the most part.
Alrighty. And then we have Brad. Brad tells Drew that actually that Portia was behind the drug overdose that he had. And so Drew decides to pay Brad, and actually Brad ends up leaving town. Um, and in the midst of all this, Drew continues to blackmail Portia. Um, Drew wants Curtis to say something positive about him, whether or not in writing or in anything that involves Aurora. He just wants something positive said about him. And so Portia's doing everything that she can to try to figure out a way to kind of turn things around so that something positive can be said about Drew, although Portia really does not want to do it. And then we're down to Brooklyn and Chase. Brooklyn and Chase tell Alexis that they do want to adopt a child, and yet another person now knows that Brooklyn has a son. Tracy questions Lois about Brooklyn's baby. Um, and then Christina actually decides that she wants to have peace with Ava and Rick. It kind of comes out of nowhere, but she says that she wants to have peace with Ava and Rick. That doesn't seem to bother Ava because Ava still wants her money. So Ava wants Alexis to provide more money for her, and then Rick also wants the same. And then Sidwell wants to buy Sonny's peers. He presents this to Sonny, who is actually now thinking about it, and that Kai takes his first steps after his surgery. Brand, did I leave anything out?
To the best of my knowledge, I think that covered it all.
All righty. So let's get to the good part now. Let's talk about who we think the performers of the week are. For me, there are several performers of the week, but they all stem around the same storyline. And believe it or not, it has to do with Danny and Rocco. I thought Dante did a great job this week. I mean, even though we may not have agreed of what he did for acting purposes, he did a great job. Danny and Rocco, it was nice to see them acting as brothers. And so, even though they've always happened, it was nice to see them actually acting. And so, it was so Danny and Rocco for me, and along with Dante are performers of the week. Your thoughts, Brandon?
I fully agree with all of that, but I'm going to add some more of my own.
All right, who are you adding?
So, first of all, Lois.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that I really enjoyed her performance and it really stood out, especially at the beginning of the week. But to add on to that, I would say Geo.
Oh yeah, Gio did a nice job. He is turning into a nice little actor, and so I really like the way Gio's performing on General Hospital. All right. As for the amusing scenes of the week, for me, I had to go back a little bit because so much of it stemmed around Dante and Rocco and Danny. But Ava, Rick, and Alexis, when they went to Alexis's house, that kind of amused me. And so that to me is one of the amusing times of the week. And then Ned and Tracy. Ned and Tracy had a little conversation, and and so I liked watching them together too. All right, Brandon, what were your amusing scenes of the week?
So, my amusing scene of the week has to do with the whole party situation, not necessarily the party itself. In this one liner that they put in, where Jocelyn is trying to defend Vaughn when Emma and Gio are just like, "Have you seen him before?" And it's like, "Yeah, I've seen him around, and he seems nice and not like a serial killer or anything." And that, as Jocelyn told Vaughn later, it's like they believed everything except for the part that you were not a serial killer.
Yes, that was amusing. Yeah. All right. Any other amusing scenes of the week for you?
I mean, I'm sure that there were some scattered around, but I mean that's the one that stood out to me the most.
All right. Well, this is the scene. This is the week I will say of touching scenes for me. Um, and most particularly had to do with Danny. And so Danny and Sasha had a nice little conversation. And then I believe Jason and Sasha had a nice little conversation too. And then Danny and Jason had a really, really nice conversation. And so those for me are the ones that to me were the touching, truly touching scenes of the week. All right, Brandon, what about your touching scenes of the week?
Oh yeah, I would fully agree. I mean, there were certainly quite a bit of them, as you've mentioned, and I believe there are even some more in there as well. But I really like that, and even Carly and Danny.
Yeah, they did have a nice scene together. So Danny was just overall, maybe I should have just said that Danny was the performer of the week, but I don't want to leave out Rocco. So they kind of go hand in hand this week. All right. And as for fast forwarding scenes, believe it or not, I'm actually going to pick Christina and Lucky because they had a conversation together in regards to, I believe, I'm sure it was about Rick and Rick's accident. But at this point in time, I think I'm a little over it. So yeah, so their conversation I didn't really care for. All right, Brandon, any fast forward scenes for you?
I'm not gonna really put any, but if I were to, it'd probably be that too.
Okay. All right. And actually, goodbyes this week. We have to say goodbye to Brad. We think, anyway, once more. So goodbye, Brad, for at least a little bit. Any goodbyes for you, Brandon?
Yeah, it's just Brad, and I mean, I really did enjoy him as a character. So I look forward to whenever they can push him and put him in the fold next time.
Yeah. All right, and then welcome back. Welcome back, Sasha, because I think she was missing last week. And then welcome back, Ned, who goes in and out, but he was in again. So welcome back to both of them. Any welcome backs for you?
It would definitely be them.
All right. And then who was missing? I think Anna was missing. If I remember correctly, I think she was the character who was missing this week.
I
Any
couldn't tell
thoughts
you
for
one way
you?
or the other, but I don't
I know.
remember her in the week.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed about General Hospitals, they have all these scenes and all these people kind of keep popping up. And you should see the notes I have to keep in order to figure out what scene's going with where and who is actually on the show for that following week. And so it has been an interesting week to watch this week to figure out which little person's going to pop up. All right. Brandon, what are you looking forward to for next week? And then I'll tell you what mine are.
I am looking forward for next week to hopefully see more progression in the whole Geo plot, although I'm kind of over the whole will Lou tell the secret or will she not sort of back and forth situation. But I'm hoping that we make a bit more progress in it to at least move it forward. But I'm kind of interested in seeing where the whole Sasha, Jason, will they get the truth about the whole Michael and Willow situation taken care of? Because I like that Sasha, despite having her giant confrontation about Willow, then goes back and can sense that something's wrong. So even if it's not to Willow's face, so I'm curious to see where they're going to head with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about Sidwell and Sonny because now Sonny has said over and over again, at least lately, that he kind of wants out of the mob. And so I have not seen anything this week. I know we're basically into Wednesday, but I have not seen anything this week. And so it'll be interesting to see what Sonny decides to do with his property. And then also, Drew. I'm kind of curious where they're leading to with Drew. I mean, hopefully they're taking him down some sort of path here. Um, because I'm trying to see the purpose of all of this that's going on with Drew and Willow. I don't know if they're trying to lead to Michael returning and being Michael a different person, which means a different personality. I don't know. But I kind of want to see where they're leading with the Drew Willow slash storyline. And then I will say I was amused by Carly and her one scene she did have. But Carly doesn't have a storyline per se right now, not a strong storyline. So I kind of am looking forward to them actually bringing in Carly for a strong storyline to come on board. All right, Brandon, anything else?
Well, I will say, as a little time capsule, so to speak, that for this upcoming week, exactly 1 year ago is when we had the wedding of Chase and Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. And a lot has changed since that time period.
Yeah, absolutely has. And I'll say that's the time that I started watching regularly too. And so it's crazy to think how much has changed since then. But yeah, we'll be approaching our 1 year mark in just about a month and a half from now.
All right, that sounds great. All right. Well, we thank everybody for watching this week,
Yeah, we definitely do.
and we'll see you next time.
Have a wonderful day.
All right. Bye, everybody.